All right, oddballers. Marcus here, and the lovely April. We are doing a special video. You're not going to see me much, probably more my hands than anything. So those of you who watched our Saturday video, you will know that we have sat down and purchased 2 adult rats, and they have been in quarantine since Saturday. I like to go about 4 to 5 days, so we're at that 5-day mark. No signs of sickness, no signs of mites, no signs of lice. They're all good, happy, and clean. So now we're going to introduce them to our colony. And so there's a lot of people who have asked, well, how do I introduce a new rat and such to the colony? Well, what you're going to do is you get a neutral ground, a container. Now, we have a pool that we utilize for this. It's really fun. They can walk around in it. Now, what I'll end up doing eventually is putting a container of some sort. I have to find them for them to kind of run around in.
You can use the oatmeal one. I mean,
Yeah, it's gotta get clean or cut out real fast though.
cut out how?
Well, because
2 entrance.
correct, multiple entrances. So when you're doing this, to begin with, you want a neutral ground with no spaces really for them to hide in, no spaces for anyone to get back in the corner. A round container is the best option. We use this little pool. This is the same pool that we'll set down and put some water in and a couple little plastic toys for the rats to climb up on and let them play in the water. They love it. It's absolutely fun. We also use this for rat introductions. So what you're going to do is you're going to first sit down, and we're going to do this slowly. Now, we have in our male cage about 7 males. So 7 males, 7 to 8 males in our cage. And we got a lot of hiding spots, a lot of platforms, and a lot of hammocks. So, and we try to keep around 7 to 8, or 7 max, 8 if they're smaller. So, so what we're going to do is first we're going to take the rats that are here, and we're going to put them in the container. And then I will take this thing right here, if you can see it, and I'm going to cut some holes in it.
You're not in front of the camera with that.
Either camera, there's 3 cameras.
Yeah, I don't see anybody picking it up on the view on the start angle.
How about now?
No, but let's go here. Now we can see it.
Got it. That camera probably crapped out.
Yeah.
It's going to get thrown away, and we didn't have the money to buy our SLR like we wanted, so we have to wait till next month to purchase that. So I'll take this and I'm going to cut some holes in it, 2 or 3 holes, and we'll toss it when it's done. But we don't want one entrance, and the idea behind this is that if we make one entrance, our new rats can potentially get in the back here, in the back, corner themselves up and become defensive of their territory and their home. And or our rats can get back in there, and when the new rats come, they can get defensive of their place. So having a in and an out, more than 2 entrances, is the best way to go. And that's because in the event that either sets of rats decide they want to play in this, but they're scared of the other rats, they don't feel cornered, they have an escape route that they can escape out of, and that allows us to do it. But that will come last. I did not think this out.
What didn't you think out?
How I'm going to get down there?
Oh, you're going to have fun with that, aren't you?
I need like a pillow or something. It's going to be fun.
Oh, grab some of the... Oh, no.
Grab some of the oh no?
I was going to say the rat bedding, the washed rat bedding.
Oh. Yeah. No. Okay. Oh! Okay. I'm down. This hurts so much.
I'm sorry.
Normally I have the light chair, but not today. So we're going to take and put our 2 new males that are going to go into our colony, and then the little bitty ones we'll set off to the side because they got a cage specifically for them, and we're going to put them inside our container here. And so we're going to give them a second to kind of acclimate, kind of look around, kind of smell. It's new for them. And then what we are going to do is we are going to slowly, one by one, introduce males, starting with our sweetest and kindest male, into the place. And so what we're looking for is exactly kind of what's going on right now. So no one's really, they're sniffing. They're smelling each other. Okay. Now you can see that Max is kind of getting a little too overbearing, but he's not. Nope, there he goes. Now he's going to smell this one. And see, that's kind of what we're looking for. Your rats are going to want to smell the new rats. They're new to the colony, and they're going to investigate them. And then they're going to want to smell him. And so that's a positive reaction. You know how Max just went up, kind of smelled him, walked away, and now he's like, okay, whatever. I got to definitely smell you now again. And whatever, we're good. How do I get out of here? So he's pretty nonchalant with it. So that's a sign that Max is okay with it. Now, we want to look at his posturing. You see how he's kind of holding his tail up in that position? He's a little uncomfortable right now, so he's kind of got himself in a fight or flight, or in a flight pattern, so that if he gets too scared, he can run off. But again, he's going to sniff. And so we're looking for this. We want to see smelling. We want to see him, allow them to smell him. And then eventually, he's going to reduce his tail down. And everything's going to be good.
And I like the fact, like, he deviates. Like, he smells, but he's not over-obsessive either.
Correct. And that's what we're not wanting, is that over-obsessive smelling and that, like, honing in.
Yeah.
So that honing in is your rat taking a defensive position to a foreign invader. So now we're going to introduce another rat.
And as per usual, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. These are informative, so the more questions that you may have, the better, because you may ask something that no one else would ask, or, you know, thought to ask or afraid to ask.
Correct. And so we're now looking to see how our rats are interacting, and so they're smelling. The other rats are not really smelling. They're not really caring about the other ones. That's good. You know, we're not, no hostilities. Max, don't make me make scary noises. It's a dangerous world out there, buddy. And so right now we're good. So we put Max out there. We have one of our little babies, our Gen 14s. Maxie. And so they're doing good right now. And so as you can see, everyone is kind of relaxed. Max is starting to relax out, but they're still a little nervous. We got a little bit of fear poops, which is normal in an environment like this. It's new to them and new to each other. Oh, if I sit like this, is it going to be less painful? Yes. Okay, good. So as you can see, no one really cares. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to say, okay, let's get another rat. So who are we going to get? Grim. No. Come here, Teddy. Not Teddy. Wedge. We're going to put Wedge in there. Wedge is going in there. Wedge is in there now. And so Wedge is looking and checking them out. So Wedge is not our line. He's from an outside line, and he's smelling them. He's smelling me. And there we go. Not really concerned about them. Not really interested in them. Just kind of walking. And we're good.
And they're starting to do the same actions together. They're all interested now in what's outside versus each other.
Yep. And so that's what we're kind of looking for. So we got some good reactions so far. Let's get Teddy. Go put Teddy in there. Here you go, Teddy. Say hello to the new rats. So Teddy's going to do his thing. Every time a new rat comes in, they're going to want to go smell the new guys. Okay, come on, get off. Get off, Max. Go. And so the other rats aren't feeling stressed. They're not feeling angry or upset. In fact, they're kind of interested in them, kind of not. And everyone is just, they're just hunky-dory. Okay, good. So we're going to get our next rat, which is Grim. We're going to put Grim in there. Now, if you notice, they're all starting to huddle together. They're not what's the word I'm looking for? They're not showing any signs of any issues. So they're not over zealous on one. Grim is actually cleaning the hairless. So that's kind of adorable. Hi there. What's up, buddy? And so now he's smelling. I want to smell you. Who are you? You smell different. I smell you. And so now you see the new rats are starting to smell everyone else. And so now they're no longer like, hey, I'm kind of want to get there. And what we're wanting to do is see if they can't get them to all kind of huddle together and do things together. The more they do things together, the better off they'll be. You see they kind of walk past each other. What?
Treats would have been a great thing. It's also, to show if they'll do things together is providing treats too.
Yep. I like how Max is just standing there.
I love when they, stand on their hind legs without support.
Okay. So let's get Courage. He's our scaredy cat. We'll put Courage in there and see how Courage reacts.
Hence his name, Courage, the cowardly rat.
And so you can see Courage, like before, goes and sniffs, and everything's good. Now, we were not too worried about, get back in there, Witch, any of these rats having issues with the newcomers. They're really good. They get along very well with other rats. So we very rarely we very rarely have any issue. Hi, Grim. We've get your butt in there, Wedge. Wedge, get in there. we don't really have any issues. They get along well with other rats. They play well with other rats. And so we really weren't worried about it. All right, there's Nemo. There's Gilgamesh. I have a rat escaping, and no one can help me. I need Misha to round him up.
I was just thinking that. I'm sorry.
But she knocked the camera over.
Unfortunately, I hurt myself today, so I'm not that helpful for poor Marcus.
I'm standing now. We're good. Wedge.
And our dog Misha would normally keep around and like poke with her nose to be like, no, don't go that way.
Okay, so we have a whole bunch of rats in here now, and you can see that they're all getting along just fine. So, okay, that's it. You're going back. I'm not playing the up and down game.
The ping pong.
Okay.
At least we got along.
They got along. So, and this is what we're looking for. You see how none of the other rats are very interested in the new rats. They allow the new rats to be beside them. Get in there. They allow the new rats to be beside them. So now we're going to sit down and hopefully they don't run away before I can get this cut open.
I'll tell you if there's danger. And I love it too because like right now when you're looking, minus that big pop noise you made, you really can't tell a difference between the new rats and the colony rats.
Correct. And that's ultimately what you're looking for. You're wanting that kind of synergy. They'll all start to fall in line. And so now, let's give them a nice big hole. And as you see, I've got a hole in here. And we're going to put that right there in the middle.
You showed it to the wrong camera. I changed camera angles. But yeah, there's a hole in the back.
So there's a hole in the back. And so now, we're going to let the rats enjoy that for a second. The scareder rats who are trying to hop out of the cage to go find hiding spots because they're, skittish of outside, they're going to be drawn to the hole. There goes Grim. And so you can see everyone is now huddling together. The new rats are trying to huddle with our current rats. No one is taking anger. No one is taking offense. And that's why we have the house out.
And you can see the hairless one is grooming. And Gus comes over and he's delicately sniffing. He's not aggressive. He's not pushing him over or nothing. Yes. It's just, interest like, oh, you're new. How are you doing kind of concept.
So we may bring Malik down after we clean the boys out.
To show
introduction of what will happen if you have a
partially aggressive
male.
Yeah.
And he's not aggressive. That's the funny thing. He's not aggressive. He has never bit a rat to the point of blood. He's never bit a person to the point of blood.
Yeah.
But he is a dominant rat, so he kind of wants to tussle and fight.
Yes.
And so, that's that. He wants to be the big rat. And so I'm going to put him in here, and I want to show you guys the differences between him and these colonies and what to look for in your rats. Now,
hi, Gus. Oh, you're not Gus. I thought it was Gus staring.
That's Gus right there.
It is Gus. I thought so.
So now, what you have to be careful of is rats can be vicious.
Oh, yeah.
especially if the males have rat aggression or hormonal aggression, which there's numerous types of hormonal aggression. We can cover that later on at a later time. Get on in there, buddy. But if you're not careful and you do not know what you're looking for when you introduce them together, you can actually have a rat kill another rat, especially babies. Bigger, aggressive males will kill young males.
And it can happen so suddenly that you turn for a second thinking everything is fine, and the next thing you know, it's not.
And so what you're going to do is you need to know the warning signs before it gets to that point. Because another rat, an aggressive male rat or a very dominating male rat, he is going to show signs prior to the attack that he's going to attack the rat. And like I said, we'll keep the Pearl Merle in there, and we'll bring Malik down, and we'll show you what a dominant rat. I know Malik's not going to hurt the rat. But
he will get a little bit rough potentially.
Correct.
However, Malik tends to show that outside of cage, he's a little bit more relaxed. So keep that in mind too.
Yes. Where are you going?
I'm trying to get something.
Okay. So yeah. So as you can see, everyone's getting along just fine. They're going in the cage. They're smelling each other outside of the basket. It's good. At this point, we would normally add several. Oh, look, there's Misha. Please don't come in, Misha. Come, Misha.
Misha, come in here.
Normally, you would sit down and you'd add a couple of more toys, couple of little hides and things like that, just so that you can see how well they work together and if there's going to be any issues. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're going to have an issue with a rat, it's going to be over hiding spaces.
I'm trying to get some
9 times out
stuff
of 10.
for them to snack on and play with.
Oh, okay.
So here's this.
So now we're going to see how they eat, and we'll make sure no one's going to get food aggressive.
And then here's a random box to put in there just so there's more stimulation. Oh, you would.
It's grim. And so everyone's getting Cheerios now. And so the Pearl Merle, he's interested, but he's scared. Everyone knows there's Cheerios there now.
And the other thing that it's good to do a treat or something is because rats can also be food aggressive.
Correct.
Just like dogs in that sense.
And so everyone's starting to know that there's Cheerios, as you can see. And they're starting to tip it over to get to the Cheerios.
And another thing, too, just throwing it out there, like we're using stuff that we normally wouldn't use in their cage because the idea is to make it as neutral as possible.
Correct.
Possible.
You do not want any other smells so that the rats you have or the rats you're bringing in believe that it's their territory. And the reason why is because if you do that, an aggressive male or an aggressive female is more likely to go on the attack quicker without any warning signs.
Mm-hmm.
So at least in a neutral field, what we're looking at is an environment that doesn't smell like either rat. And so it's like they're meeting on neutral grounds.
Yeah.
And depending upon how this relationship works, depends upon how everything else will work. Now, the ultimate goal is that by the time this is all said and done, after they've ran around and they've relaxed out, and you see they're starting to calm down.
They're cleaning themselves.
Yeah, they're all starting to clean themselves. They're starting to get ready. The idea is that we want to see everybody in a big old rat pile. Yes?
Oh, somebody posted a minute ago that there's no sound.
Is there no sound at all?
Hold on, let me go to my phone and double check. Keep going until then.
Well, if there's no sound, then why am I going to go?
Oh, good point. Let's see.
Is the sound bouncing on that side?
It shows it's bouncing here,
Is
and
it-
it shows that it's unmuted.
Okay.
So
Eventually, he's going to reduce his Okay, so there's sound. Oh, I got a rat out. Get your butt back in there, buddy. Okay. So I'm not sure why you're having troubles hearing us.
Yeah, someone just responded that they can hear everything. Thank you, Katarina.
Thank you. So, again, as we were saying, thank you guys for pointing out any technical difficulties. We want to make sure that this information is up. So ideally what we're looking for is everyone to be sleeping together. So rats will run around, and they're going to play, and they're going to eat Cheerios, and crawl under stuff, and climb in and out of tubes. And eventually they're going to get tired, and they're going to get comfortable, and then they're going to want to go to sleep because they're boys, and boys like to sleep. And you'll forgive me, sinuses and all that fun stuff. So what we're wanting to see is everyone sleeping together in piles.
Or like huddling. If not sleeping, huddling.
Yeah. So as you can see, our new males, they're perfectly fine. Everyone is fine with them. They have no problems. At this moment, what was that, Gil?
I wasn't looking. What happened?
He just flipped out.
Oh.
God bless it. Oh, get it out. Anyways, so at this point, everyone's starting to eat. That's good too.
Yeah, we have the naked one, or not naked, hairless one. He's eating.
Yep.
Well,
And then Max is eating. So you can see everyone is comfortable with each other. Now, it's always suggested, anytime you have new rats, that you want to kind of do this a couple of times. We know our line very well. Each one of the rats that's in this bin, besides the 2 new ones, we raised from babies. So we know our rats very well, and we know what they're going to do. I mean, for all intents and purposes, Teddy and Wedge, they're from outside the line, and we were able to introduce them straight into the cage. That's
after
how
quarantine.
Yeah, after quarantine, of course. Yeah, we waited the standard 5 days quarantine. We always quarantine. We always suggest you quarantine. Quarantine our rats even. So, and that's not to say there's anything wrong with that or anything wrong with people's rats. It's just a safe practice. And, you never know. Because say we adopt a rat or something comes in on our bedding and maybe I pick one of the beddings that's not going through the decontamination process, or maybe it wasn't a thorough decontamination process and, there might be some mite larvae on the bedding. Well, then I can transfer that to my cage, and then I adopt out a rat, and a week later, you guys have rats with mites. Mm-hmm. And then that's not anything bad on our part. When we find the problem, we immediately take care of it. And luckily enough, thank God, we haven't ever experienced mites with our rats. And we really hope we don't ever. But
it's always safe to do it regardless.
It's always safe to do it regardless. So we've let these guys in standard larval stages a week. We've looked for over itching. We've looked for, luckily enough, we got the hairless.
Yeah.
So if there's going to be mites or fleas or lice, the hairless is going to give it away. We're going to see them all over the hairless because they'll still climb on them and feed on them, even though there's no hair. But yeah. And so we do that just to make sure, what if they have a virus and they die within a couple of days,
Because that happens.
Yep, we want to make sure that that's safe. So now that these guys are done, you can see everyone's starting to, like I said, they're making a rat pile. And that little tube is going to be their home.
Yeah, I changed camera angle to show everybody trying to pile in the open. It's a little cut off, but you can still see them trying to all
Which
shove
camera
in.
angle or do we have an issue with?
Well, one of our cameras are down. I tried to fix it. I think I broke it more. That's
This
that one. Yep.
Yeah, that camera's shot.
So I have it where it's not the greatest quality one. It's the lower quality of the two.
This one?
I think so. Put your hand in front of it. Yep.
So what, back it up?
Yeah, just a little bit. Right about there.
Okay.
Now we can see heads and faces.
Heads and faces. So you see they're all crowding inside there, and this is kind of what we're wanting to see. Now, here's where where are you going, Grim? Here's where the big thing's going to happen. Will our new rats be accepted into the tube? And so this is why we put the tube there. Now, that's good, see? See, the pearl merle is getting ready to climb inside, so is the hairless. He sees everyone's there. Everyone's crowding. He wants to crowd there too. And we want to see if they'll allow him to kind of bunch in with them. And if you notice, we cram pretty much all of our rats into one location. They love to do that. They love to pile into one thing and just hunker down and There you go.
Yes,
All right.
no aggression, no nothing. It's just camaraderie.
How many rats can you fit in the tube?
Wedge, I see you. I love it when you call their names and they actually look at you. Okay, do you want to start? Wait, none of them made it in. Wait, no. Where is the new pearl marl?
The pearl marl's right there. The hairless is right here.
Yeah, I see the hairless.
And
It's
so-
easier to find him than the other one.
We want this to naturally happen. And so there we go. Pearl marl's kind of trying to bunch up with everybody. And are we going to see any defense of their home? No.
And he's grooming, so again, that's a great sign.
Yes. And everyone is all bundled up and bunched inside the house, and
I wonder if there's legitimately no more room.
we thought that, and then they crammed 4 more rats in there.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, Max is in there, for crying out loud.
Ah. Gus is taking an interest in the new, which I need to find Ron's naked mole rat's name, and I think that's what I want to name him.
Okay. All right. So the rats have decided that that's where they're going to stay. Again, they've calmed down, so now they're all hiding inside there. The new guys are not really going over there, but they're not being forced to go away.
Yeah, there's no signs of aggression at all, which is amazing to see. And again, we were very confident in our line. It's just the newbies we weren't as confident in because they're new. But the fact that everyone's going up to each other, they're smelling, and then separating, like you said, there's no horning in. It is very chill.
So
I'm talking.
is
Gus.
Grim trying to squeeze inside.
Gus.
We're sorry that we're quiet, but it's partly a waiting game, and we really want you guys to observe this and kind of experience it, so that when you're introducing rats in the future, you understand. So we're trying to go from a beginning to end process of how we do this. So I moved over to the other side because I noticed that these 2 rats, again, are very friendly, and so they've been honed in on me, and especially the hairless, and kind of going to where I go because I'm the most familiar face. And so I want them over here where the rats are, and to see if they're allowed to pile in with the rest of them. And as you can see, we have literally put all the rats but 3 in this little area. And he's trying to see if he can squeeze in there. Can I get in there? Oh, there we go. Can you squeeze in, buddy? He's trying. No one's squeaking at him. No one's biting at him.
Yeah, they're showing like really not, like they're not even blocking him or anything. They're just right there.
Yeah, there's just so many rats inside the bucket.
But he seems like he wants in, and they don't seem necessarily reluctant either.
Correct. It's just like, hey, bro, you can get in if you can.
Which are the newbies the only ones not in yet?
Yes. And so the
Okay.
hairless is trying to get in. The pearl marl still hasn't really taken in yet. He keeps cleaning and checking, and he's walking around, and now he's kind of curious now because everyone's over there. And I think he'll come over and check it out once once everyone is there. And he's really good friends with the hairless. So there's Maxie. And so yeah, I don't see any issue. There's not any issue. They don't really try to defend the rats or block them off from trying to get inside. I'm sure if there was space, the hairless would be able to fit in. Pearl marl could fit in, so we're good. So this is what we're looking for, something like this right here. We have, bunch of rats. They're all together. They're all fine. No one's being, bitten at. There's no squeaking. There's no harassment. None of that. So that's a good thing. Now, again, we know our line, and in most cases, after quarantine, we would introduce our line to the cage, or introduce the new rats to the cage, see how they do. upon first introduction, see how they react to our rats, and then we're good. Because I know our rats are going to be okay with these rats. They've been bred that way. No problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a minute. Do you have something you want to talk about while I pick up a pile of rats?
I can try.
Okay.
Um,
Come on, Max. Come on, Grib.
let's see. So basically, just as
Yes,
Marcus
guys.
said, you really want to get a feel and a vibe off of what's going on in the environment that you chose to introduce them with. You're going to be looking for anything that's over the top. Like you've seen in the video, they were chill. At first, everyone ran around because it's a new environment and trying to get a feel for it, but nobody was overly excessive or obsessive with another rat. And that's something that prior to our line, when we were adopting new rats and learning about them and starting to breed them and all that other stuff, we saw a lot of. They would become overly obsessive with the new rat to the point of harassment, and often it turned into at the very minimum, aggressive grooming. At the absolute worst, it was straight up fighting with potential blood.
Okay. So I got all the rats in.
You
We're
let the
gonna
pure pearl
Introduce
roll?
Mr. Malik. So Malik is our velveteen father. He seeded the velveteen into our line. And so we're going to introduce him to the Pearl Merle and see how well he does. So Malik, again, he's not an aggressive rat. He's not hormonally aggressive. He's just a dominant rat. So, and there's a big difference between aggression and dominance. All right? In all colonies, you are going to have a dominant male, a dominant female, and they will fall in line to a hierarchy. And maybe Max in his old age is...
Malik.
Malik in his old age is not so bad.
See, and that's the thing. So Malik, generally, especially outside of the cage, had been good. Like, there's been times we've done meet and greets with him and the other boy rats because we're always hopeful we can house them together. And they'll do well in the neutral ground, but because... Now, look, there we go. Oh, nope, it was short-lived. But he would then become kind of overly possessive over other rats.
Old Riggs in there.
These two are our rescue rats. Well, no, sorry, the white
Riggs
one.
is the rescue
yeah.
rat.
Malik was a.
We adopted him from a pet store, local pet store.
And the sad part is, I don't know if we want to bother showing it right now. Maybe in another video, he's missing a toe.
Who?
Malik. Malik's always missing a toe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he came to us missing a toe.
Mm-hmm. And one thing we know is that sometimes aggression can be a learned behavior. So maybe his over-dominance is his way of trying to defend so he never has to lose a toe again. Now, it's interesting. Look at how much the Pearl Merle is following him around.
And trying to interact, trying to smell, trying to stuff. Now, again, it's been a while since we basically considered Malik and Riggs a lost cause. They are cage mates. They have a symbiotic relationship with each other, where they kind of, bicker back and forth between each other. Never any blood, but they do fight.
Yeah, lots of squeaking and running around, but never any damage that we can. And we'll take them out and check them too, because it sounds bad.
Yeah, and so they take turns with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever they're with the main colony, they fight.
Yeah.
And they will fight. Now, luckily enough, again, there's no hormonal aggression with these two. Now, Riggs does come from an aggressive line.
Yep.
But he's not. What's the word I'm looking for? He's not aggressive.
No, yeah, it's in his genetics, but it doesn't present itself like it does in most. But because of his genetics, we've never bred him for pet line.
Correct.
Because of the fact that we already know it's in his line, so we would never do that and put another rat or whatever at risk, even though it skipped him.
There we go. That's kind of what we're looking for. So you see how Riggs was really into him to begin with? I wonder if the pearl merle just looks at Malik and is like, "You look like me.
I was just thinking that.
Get your tubby butt back in there."
I mean, you can tell it's still a little bit different. Like, when they're smelling, they're not just casually smelling. It's
They,
more like
grab
intense.
and lift. Yeah.
Yeah, it's intensive. So honestly, I mean, this is something that if you experience this level of it, I would not put them together right away. I would try it a few more times.
And again, so we did ours rather quickly with the introduction of our pet line colony. That's because, again, we know those rats. We know what they do and how they react with other rats. And we mainly did this as a meet and greet just to make sure that the new rats were not going to be aggressive. Okay? Because they came from a place, I can't, they seem nice. They're really chill rats, to be honest.
Yeah, for people anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, and so because of that, we want to make sure that they were okay. They're okay. So, we know our colony's fine. This, on the other hand, is a bit different. And so what I want to say is going to happen is, so Malik and Riggs are going to sit down and kind of be relaxed to begin with. But as they get relaxed and the environment becomes less entertaining for them, that's when they're actually going to turn their focus onto the
new rat.
The new rat. And so...
And you can still see, like, just now... or not just now, we're on a latency, but there is a point where Malik, the darker of the two older ones we put in there, aggressively sniffed on the side, kind of knocked him over, like not full on knocked him over on his side, but it was more aggressive than just a casual drive-by sniffing.
Correct. Now, what are we looking for in signs of aggression towards a new rat? From our existing rats or from the new rat we got that we brought to the colony? What we are looking for is puffing up, all right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a rat. It's going to puff its hair up. It's going to pretend it's big and bad and tough and strong, and it puffs up.
Yeah, think of like a bird, but not as severe. You'll definitely see they'll look bigger, and you'll see like certain layers of hair sticking up past the rest of them.
Correct. And so the kind of like a dog bushes up or a cat bushes up.
Yeah.
So they puff up and they get really puffed and their hair sticks up on end. And so then what they'll start doing is, in most cases, is they will go after the individual that they're aggressing. They will begin either chasing them or continuously sniffing and licking. And see that right there.
Yeah, what
see how he's trying to pin him down to lick him?
Mm-hmm. He's following him. He's actually following around.
Yeah, and he's trying to force him down.
Yeah, to stay still so he can smell him.
Those are signs that that's a dominant rat, and that other rat is going to be picked on by that rat. So again, as these two kind of calm down, that's why you want to do it for a prolonged period of time. So we always suggest first meet should be a minimum of an hour. All right? 1 hour of a meet and greet. You do that because the rats that you introduce to begin with may not be aggressive until they've calmed down, until they've gotten used to the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Once they become used to the environment, that's where you may start to see signs of aggression or of dominance fighting. So what we want to do is we want to sit down and we want to gauge that out. So dominance fighting is normally not puffed up. So you're never going to see a puffed up rat in a dominance fight. Where are you going, little buddy? Get your butt back in there. You're never going to see a puffed up rat in a dominance fight. They don't fight like that. Females will. Females till the day is done will puff up, and then they'll kind of throw their butt into the other rat, and then they'll grab them, and then they'll kind of nip at them, or they'll slap them and try to scratch them.
Or
males,
flip and pin.
Males like to box. So what you'll see is two rats come against each other, and they'll pop up on their hind legs, and they'll start squeaking and box.
What's the matter? That
Okay.
died?
Now we're back, but I've got to figure out how to get this charged real fast. The transmitter is is
Losing battery.
losing battery.
I have my Valiant to check to see when we come back on, which we should soon.
Okay.
And again, thank you for letting us know.
Okay, and that should keep it up. I'm not sure what we went out on. Again, I've got full battery over here. Apparently the transmitter didn't, so I got it plugged in.
All right, you're back on right now. Everyone can hear.
Yeah, okay. So as I was saying, so I'm going to start from the beginning, and we'll go from there. So dominance fighting is normally boxing. The males, two males will square off, they'll raise up on their hind legs, and they'll start patting each other. Sometimes they're squeaking, sometimes there's not. In all truth, that's not that bad. That's a normality in most standard rat colonies and in most breeders' lines. It's a normality. Again, we don't have that, but because we specifically breed submissive rats. We don't want dominant rats, so we breed out anything that's dominant and only breed submissive. Because we don't want fighting. We want a colony that gets together and no one really cares who's in charge because there's no need to be in charge. And it is possible to do that. Get enough submissive rats together, you really don't have any infighting whatsoever. So anyways, back to what I was saying with this. So you see that square off, they'll hop up on their hind legs, they'll squeak at each other, and they'll begin slapping. That's, okay. Leave that situation alone. That's them trying to fight for dominance. Normally the existing rat is trying to assert dominance over the new rat, or the new rat is existing dominance over the old rat, and whoever's dominant is going to back off. If you see puffed up rat and they're trying to back another rat into the corner and then turning and chasing the rat, you must pull the aggressor. All right, that is an aggressive rat. That is a rat that is going to have a really hard time bonding with another rat. That's not impossible. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. And so I'm making sure that I'm still visible and I can see myself bouncing since my producer is vanished. Anyways, so that's what you don't want to see. If you see a rat puffed up, chasing, they're screaming, that rat is aggressive. Pull him out immediately because there is a chance blood may be drawn. If there's blood, you can almost guarantee that you will not be able to bond those rats together. A traumatic event with a rat to the point to where they are wounded with a gash, especially if it's a chase, is so devastating to the victim that the victim will then become scared of any new rat. Any rat. And that fear will turn into a form of aggression to where they exact the same violence that was exacted upon them to their fellow colonists. So we want to be very careful of that. Now, I know everyone says, and we hear it 100 times over, well, that's not my rat. My rat's a sweet rat. Well, I'm sure your rat is a sweet rat. But we need to understand that there's differences in aggression. So when we're talking about this community, most people are only going to tell you MA, HA, hormonal aggression, maternal aggression. What does that mean? Okay, so when you hear someone say HA, hormonal aggression, that is strictly towards males normally, and maternal aggression is towards females during their mothering stage. That's not true. Those are just blanket terms used to define aggressions and the different sexes of rats, and it's not the same. There is multiple forms of aggression. There is human aggression. There is rat-on-rat aggression. There's territorial aggression. There is maternal aggression. There is there is female aggression. There is male aggression, where they're aggressive to the opposite sex. Rats are capable of displaying a large variety of different forms of aggression, especially if they're not bred right. So let's go through those real quickly. When I say that a rat has human aggression, I mean that that rat is aggressive towards people. They'll get along with any other rat you put into the colony. They're not aggressive towards rats. They're not dominant. They're not they're submissive. They're the submissive rat. But the second you put your hand inside, you are lunch. And this is an actual genetic trait that is passable from parents to offspring, and vice versa. Or not vice versa, but and so on and so on. So rat on rat aggression is a rat that is very sweet with humans. They're probably the sweetest rat you'll ever have and you will ever hold. But the second you put them with another rat, they are on that rat. They are out to kill that rat, and there is no stopping them. Now, you can try bonding over and over again. I would always suggest that anytime you have a rat that's drawing blood, that rat, consider it a lost cause. And truth. And when I say a lost cause, I mean, I don't say, get rid of it. I say, note that it's probably not going to bond with anybody. And it's probably going to have to live alone. It's going to be great to you. It's going to be fine with you. But when it comes to rats, it's just not. It just doesn't deal well with rats. And that's a genetic trait as well. The worst of all these aggressions is territorial aggression. So territorial aggression is exhibited the most violent in males, but it is also exhibited in females. In most cases, rat-on-rat aggression is universal. Human aggression is universal. And they will display themselves the same exact ways. Territorial aggression is the only one out of all of these that expresses itself in probably the most violent ways we have ever seen. So those of you who have watched a lot of our videos, you know that we started out with an aggressive line. And territorial aggression was the gene in that line. This is before we knew anything about, aggression and the different types of aggressions. We just heard of hormonal aggression and maternal aggression. Okay, cool. We can deal with that. Hormonal aggression in males, you snip, snip, and they're fine. Not the case. A territorially aggressive male does not care if he has his testicles or not. It is not about breeding. It is about him controlling his home from any intruder, male or female. A territorially aggressive rat can be very non-discriminative, especially if the female's not in heat. He can become overbearing to the point that he may actually bite and kill the female just because he can't mate with her.
Yeah.
It is the most violent of all the aggressions. Territorially aggressive males in this setting, and I kind of wish we still had some, just so I could kind of give you an example of how they react. And I wouldn't put him in the tub. Why is this room so dry?
I think it's because of the dehumidifying aspect of our air conditioner.
I think
here.
so. That's what it is. It's dry because when I drink water, I'm fine. I would never put him in this tub with any of our rats. Because that male... Did we lose volume again?
No, you're still bouncing.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see it jumping. So I've been kind of trying to look. There we go. That male would probably kill the little one, the pearl merle, and he would badly wound either one of these two. That male is so aggressive that if I was to put him in a cage and set him in the middle, or if I was to set any of these rats in a cage in the middle, he would be attacking the cage. That
Rumple.
is territorial aggression. That male will never be able to be housed with anything but a female that can continually get pregnant.
Which, in all truth, is not ideal and should never be done anyway.
Correct. That male will, in most cases, bite you.
Rumple. That's what it reminds me of, is Rumple. Rumple would have been, unfortunately, our best example of that.
Because he expressed it the most.
Mm-hmm.
That rat's so ingrained in defending his territory, he will do whatever it takes, and he will take as much flesh with him in the process. So that's what I was waiting for. See how these guys have calmed down? And now Malik's doing it.
I have to see if I can switch to the other camera angle. I don't know if it'll show it better. No, not really.
Which camera needs to be moved?
That one needs to just come up a little bit.
Come up or down?
Up.
You're on the wrong camera.
Oh, my bad.
Flip to the other camera. There you go. Can you see now?
Mm-hmm.
So you see how they're starting to push him? They're getting up underneath him.
Yeah, the other camera, though, was showing more directly. This is showing from a bird's eye view.
Yeah. So then now let's bring this up.
Watch, as soon as you do that, they're going to move. Yep, there we go. Perfect.
Okay.
Go back to where you were, because now we can see a little bit more on an angle.
Yeah. So you see how now that they've calmed down, they've had some Cheerios, now they're very interested in him. And they're all up underneath him. They're pushing him. They're lifting him up. Those are signs that there's potentially going to be clashes if you put them into a cage together. And it might not get to the point to where they're actually trying to chase him, but it potentially could.
Now, keep in mind, even though, like Marcus said, these rats are known to be dominantly aggressive, which is what I'm going to classify it. It's still a form of aggression. It is probably the least
It's
vicious.
the more natural form of aggression.
Yeah. And it's just they take it a little too far. They don't know when to quit on average. So they're the least amount of aggressive that's out there in regards to having a form of aggression. And they're also older. And I think that placates a lot into it because their age now, I don't think unless they need to, they're not going to be as much of a pain in the butt, if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? So, yeah. And again, now everyone is fine over there. The colony is back to normal. Everyone is chill. So, yeah, so there it is. So that's that dominance grooming. So that right there, that is a form of dominance grooming. Okay? So the Pearl Merle is not really giving any fight. And since he's not giving any fight, everything's going pretty well for him at this moment. But what you're seeing Riggs do is what's known as dominance grooming. And this is where he kind of, see how he laid on top of him and he began licking him and cleaning him? So that's Riggs trying to assert his dominance over that male. And sometimes dominance is as gentle as that. Sometimes it's as much as for while he's doing that, he gives him a bite.
Mm-hmm.
To let him know that he's the boss.
Especially if the rat is taking a less submissive. Like right now, the Pearl Merle seems to be very submissive, which is benefiting also.
Yes.
If he put up a fight or was showing uncomfort and try to stop them from what they're doing instead of just letting it go, it would more than likely escalate.
All right, guy.
You gonna get somebody else to try?
Yeah, I'm gonna grab someone like Teddy or Wedge.
Go later in our. What's the earliest generation we have in our cage right now, not counting the patriarch?
Hey guys, come here. Come here. Come here.
Oh, almost dropped something. Yeah, because the later our line and generations go, the more submissive and timid our rats are, which is great because that's what we want. But to try to show kind of warning signs to our viewers and watchers, or oddballers, if you will, we're trying to show you more of what to expect. So hopefully You might see a little bit more of that from an older generation that we still have.
Oh. Come here, little guy.
Love how you say little guy to a big rat. Here we go.
So that's an older generation.
And that's Gen what? 10?
Who? That guy?
Yeah.
No, he's Gen 5.
Oh, wow. Okay. So hold on. I need to change my camera angle because there's more movement. Crap.
What?
I dropped something. That's why.
Oh.
Don't worry. It's not ratties. And this one's interesting because he's kind of about the size of Malik.
Yep.
So he's bigger than Riggs, which may make Riggs act differently. But you see how they're all over him. Both of them at once now, where they weren't doing that to the Paul Mall. Paul Mall? That's the wrong
Pearl
word.
Merle.
Thank you.
And that's because this guy's not submissive like the Pearl Merle. See how the Pearl Merle, he flattened himself down, he laid himself down. This guy's like, you know what? I want to stand up. I'm going to stand up.
And he walks away too. And the whole time, there's Riggs is trying to keep a paw on him.
And keep him down. And so what's going to happen is,
As he goes to look for
as
Cheerio.
he doesn't submit to them, they're going to get more and more and more pushy.
At least that's what they normally would. Again, we're not sure if age is also playing a role. Right now, Riggs is proving otherwise. But he's not taking it too far at the moment.
Correct.
But this is not, like, this is okay as long as it stops and it doesn't last that long. I would honestly say if it lasts 5 minutes, I would be worried to house them together because of the intensity.
And it's not necessarily housing them together. It may be one of those things where you have to do 2 or 3 meet and greets.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah,
I
you
worded
don't
it
put
wrong.
them in immediately. You're going to do 2 or 3 meet and greets, at which point, at that point, eventually they should all get along. Now again, these guys are older. Malik is the oldest, or Riggs is the oldest, Malik's the second oldest.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Yes, we do.
We do? How?
Yeah, because we got Riggs. We had Riggs 3 months before we got Malik.
Yeah, but we got Riggs from a pet shop.
No, we didn't. Riggs didn't come from a pet
Oh,
shop.
why am I thinking Riggs?
Malik came from
Yeah,
a pet shop,
sorry.
but we got Malik 3 months, or Riggs
Well,
3 months prior
to
to
Malik.
Malik.
Yeah, but we don't know what Malik's age. That was the point.
He was about 12 weeks, 12 to 14 weeks.
Really? I thought
Yeah,
he was
because
much
he
older than
grew since we got him.
that. Well, he grew outward more than length.
Both actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he was about 12 to 14 weeks when we got him.
Like you can see, compared to the other one, Malik is even showing a little bit more intense. Not as much. I like the fact that Malik is walking away because, in all truth, between Malik and Riggs, Malik was a little bit more in your face. Predominantly, I think, like I said, because who knows what he went through and how he lost his toe.
Correct, and that's the sad thing again. So I like the fact that we're able to show some things and we're not getting any real violence. I didn't want violence, but I kind of want to show the precursors to it. So you start seeing that forceful, that dominance, where they kind of push them down, they want to clean themselves, and now we have a rat that's not submissive, but he's not really dominant either, to be honest with you.
Which is really good in these situations. Having a submissive rat and a mildly dominant rat generally will work out.
Correct. Having a dominant rat
Like excessively dominant.
and another dominant rat together normally ends up with someone getting beaten up.
Badly.
Not always badly, but beaten up. Well, because Belle beats up on everyone,
True.
and it's for like a day, and then it's done and over with. Which is probably the one joy that girls have, is that girls in most cases, even if they're angry and aggressive, their aggression normally doesn't tip to the side of maiming
Harmful,
or
yeah.
goring or death. It's normally girl fight, and the dominant female will fight the new girl until the new girl submits to her, or the existing dominant rat is taken out.
I want to say for our personal experience as the female to female aggression, at the worst, it was like a bite and release.
Correct. Yeah. No, not even a scratch, and no blood, no breaking of the skin. So saliva only.
If there was blood, it was from a scratch from the paws, and it was usually very superficial.
Correct.
With the girls, mind you. It was been far worse than that with the boys when we were experimenting with our aggressive line and trying to improve upon it.
Yeah. Far worse.
Mm-hmm.
We thought we had had several that were good, and that was the thing that got us, to be honest with you, when we were first breeding that line, is you wouldn't know they were aggressive.
Nope.
Until about the 5-6 month mark.
I mean, look at Rumple. Rumple was the first rat I've ever owned, and in the beginning, very sweet, a little cage territorial, which at that time we really weren't familiar with, so we didn't see the telltale signs or know what we were dealing with. But then he reached a certain age and it was done. I got bit at least 4 to 5 times from him. The last bite was probably the most severe bite, and he was tearing other males apart, and I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, we would put oh no, I don't want to put you in there. There's girls in there.
Wrong cage.
Wrong cage. That's how we end up with accidents. Yeah, we would put a. So I'm gonna steal this camera here.
Okay.
Whoop. Whoop. Is that good? Right
it's
here.
Good enough. Yep.
Okay. So, anyways, so we would put babies with him because he was fine with babies. He loved little boys, and he would allow them to snuggle up and everything. It was all adorable. And then the next thing we know, the boys would hit about 12 to 13 weeks, and we would have no issue. And then all of a sudden we would hear screaming. We'd rush to the cage, and he's taking a chunk out of them.
And the only reason we were housing babies with him is because we couldn't house him with anybody else because of his aggression, and we were afraid that isolation was only going to increase his aggression.
Mm-hmm.
So we kept trying different different rats to pair him with, hoping that there was one he could just get along with. And ironically enough, we came across that he was fine with babies that were weaned from mother up until 12 or 13 weeks. Once her hormones hit.
Correct. Once the male's hormones kicked in, that's when he would start going bananas. We did that 2 times, and that was about it. And at that point, we were like, okay, let's try meet and greets. He would attack him in meet and greets. Mm-hmm. We could not do meet and greets or anything like that. He would, in a meet and greet in a neutral plane, on it.
It's gotten so bad with Rumple specifically, and I think this was the worst rat, unfortunately, we've ever had, that he got into where he was people aggressive.
Yeah.
Where if you were trying to clean his cage, or you opened his cage to give him food or to say hello to him, he would tag you, which is what the terminology you use, where it's a bite and release.
Yep.
And then if you something happened and you left the cage open for a few seconds and he got out, you couldn't grab him even to put him back because he would attack.
Yeah. Yeah. He would bite you if you put your hand in to feed him. Mm-hmm. He would bite you when you got him out of the cage. And it was a slow progression into that too.
Yeah, it wasn't overnight. It slowly built up, and that's what made it so hard. And again, that was my first rat. And it was heartbreaking and confusing because it's like you went from the sweet, innocent, loving thing that, stood in a cage with another rat just fine to now you're leaving scars on me because you're biting deeply into my skin out of nowhere.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, he was so vicious at the point. When I deal with anything that potentially might be an aggressive rat, I have a leather glove that I put on, because I can't bite through it. And he hit that so hard, he actually bruised the skin underneath it. That's how hard he tagged it.
And it was a pretty thick leather glove too.
Yeah, it was.
Like it was not just a leather glove; it was a padded leather glove.
Yep.
I can't talk.
So we've kind of discussed a little bit of aggression, what you're looking for, what you're not looking for in introductions. So now we're going to give you the just and the skinny of it. So you saw our process. This is how everyone does it. It's a neutral ground, blank, nothing in it. Put the new rats in there first, then put your old rats in there one by one. That way you can measure and make sure that they're not all going to be aggressive and go and attack the new rats. And you want to do this about an hour for about a week, week and a half. And just to verify that each time you bring them in, it gets better and better and better. And you're going to bring in new things into the environment each time. Slowly bring in some stuff. We always suggest take some items from the from your colony's cage, stuff that's really got their smell all over it, and then start introducing that into that neutral environment so that you can see how your rats react to the new rats when their smell's in the environment, and how your new rats are going to react to your existing rats when it smells like your existing rats.
Mm-hmm.
And you slowly build that up over the course of about a week. And normally after a week, you'll know if there's going to be any, who's going to be your bully, who's going to be your boxer, is there going to be dominance fighting, is there aggression, and you'll have a good gauge of that. And again, if at any point in time in this interaction, whether male or female, you see puffing up and butting against, pull the aggressor immediately. Okay? You got to pull that aggressor out, set them off to the side, give them a little bit of time. If you're doing multiple rats and you've got one that's an aggressor and one that's not, pull the aggressor out, let them calm down, give the rat that's not being aggressive a little bit of time to interact with the new rat, because it could be one of those things where the smell of your existing rat, the one that's not aggressing the new rat, intermingles with the new rat. Your aggressive rat may be a little more welcoming because that time it smells familiar to them. And so you're going to rinse and repeat that. We can clearly say if you do that for a week, and every single time you put that rat in with that new rat, and they go right after them, and they are puffed up, they are pushing their butts, they are chasing them, they are biting them, they're clawing at them, they're just not going to bond. Mm-hmm. And we have to consider that that's what's going to happen. At that point, you need to sit down and evaluate your new rat, adopt another rat to accommodate that rat, or adopt a new rat to see if your aggressive rat will bond with that rat. So that's your options. Some rats bond great, some rats don't. It's just the way it works. And so we need to be cognitive of that, and we need to sit down and really, watch for those signs. I can't state it enough. If you see any signs of that aggression, especially if you've got a baby in that neutral ground, you need to pull that rat. Hyper-aggressive rats will kill babies, and you won't even know it. You'll think they're playing with them, and then you've got a lifeless baby. Mm-hmm. It's quick, and sometimes you can't even stop it. So if you know the signs beforehand, you are good. Now, prior to this meet and greet and after quarantine, you should set up a secondary cage and make sure you have it near your existing colony. During this whole meet and greet process, you want those rats close to each other so that they can smell their scents across the cage, and therefore it becomes less of a scare thing and more of a familiar thing. So anyways, with that being said, guys, I hope this has been informative to you. We were going to do Food 101, but I figured we had the meet and greet we're going to do. Might as well go ahead and give you guys an example of that. And so yeah, if you have any questions, please send us to us. Again, this Saturday or Sunday, it's going to be our Patreon adoption live stream and our regular adoption live stream. We have 2 litters consisting of 13 babies. So ended up having to pull a little dominant boy from Hazy the other day. So he failed the final temperament test. The rest of them are golden, though. And so, yeah. So, again, if you want to get in on that Patreon live stream, adopt some babies out before. And the litters are so small, I think I may just do all of them. Just do the whole litter to the Patreon first. No, you're shaking your head. There's only 13 babies.
Okay, then go ahead.
Yeah, it's small. It's not like we've got like 2 litters of 20, and where we can pull 4 or 3 and 3 and then go it out. So we may go all 13 straight to the Patreon first. Whatever's left over from that adoption then can go out to the other one. So it's just because the litters are small.
Makes sense.
Anyways, you can find that information again at the beginning of this video, as well as it's posted on our page. So yeah, do hope this has been informative, and we'll catch you guys on Sunday. You have a good night, all right?